coffee. 75% of the American population drinks coffee nearly every single day. And in that 75% of the population, I am one of them. Not only do I drink it every single day, I have drank coffee every day for the past 5 years. Now, as the title suggests, I quit coffee and other forms of caffeine, such as tea, energy drinks, and even chocolate for 30 days. And it was not voluntary. You see, over winter break, I decided to change up my diet and lose some body fat, and I decided to fast breakfast. And although I wasn't eating breakfast, I still had 2 to 3 cups of coffee pretty much every single day to keep my energy levels up. What I didn't know was that drinking coffee on an empty stomach is actually really bad for you. 3 weeks into this diet, while I did get lean and I did lose body fat, I started to notice weird heart palpitations. I'd never experienced this before, so it got me kind of scared, and it was pretty much happening almost every day. So I decided to see a cardiologist, and my cardiologist actually scolded me for drinking so much coffee on an empty stomach, because that is why I was having these heart palpitations. After receiving some supplements to calm my heart down, I was told to stop caffeine for 30 days. I was kind of destroyed when I was given this order, but having these heart palpitations were scary enough for me to remain calm and follow through with this order. Now in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys all of my experiences throughout this 30-day journey of no caffeine, the pros and cons of no caffeine, and at the end of the video, I'll be telling you guys if I'll start drinking coffee ever again. What is going on, YouTube? My name is Jason Lee. Thank you so much for stopping by this channel. If you could just take 3 seconds out of your day to hit that subscribe button so that you can see more great content like this, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, prior to starting this caffeine break, I watched a lot of YouTube videos on other people who did this challenge. And the results for many people were actually kind of split. I saw some people saying it was the best decision they ever made to quit caffeine, and I saw other people say the quite opposite and saying it was a waste of time to quit caffeine. So I really had no idea what to expect. As a full-time college student who also works out 6 days a week, energy is a necessity for me to have a successful lifestyle. So I break down this timeline in increments of 10 days to share with you guys my experiences. The first few days of this challenge was absolutely and utterly brutal. Since I've been drinking every day, pause. Sounds like I'm talking about alcohol. I mean drinking coffee every day. Quitting cold turkey came with some brutal withdrawal effects. For starters, I had crazy migraines the first few days, to the point where I had to take Advil just so that I could focus in class. The migraines only did last for 3 to 4 days, but during the time period that I did have them, they were pretty bad. The second thing I noticed was that my workouts went to absolute garbage. Not only was it harder for me to get out of bed, all of my numbers in the gym went down. Now I do train calisthenics and I don't really do weightlifting, but on my pull day, when I'd usually do 5 sets of 10 pull-ups, I'd only be able to do 2 sets of 10, and then 9, and then 7, and then 5. This was a common trend throughout all of my exercises, and I just had a harder time pushing myself in the gym without the caffeine. The third thing I noticed during these first 10 days was brain fog and fatigue. While my workouts were less efficient and I was doing lower volume than usual, my body did get fatigued pretty quickly, and it was prolonged throughout the entire day. I would spend extra time to stretch and foam roll to mitigate this feeling, but it did not end up helping me as much as I wanted it to. Brain fog was especially a big problem for me when I was trying to pay attention in class, and I would do my best to mitigate this by meditating and drinking water, which did help a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked for it to. The final thing that I noticed during these first 10 days was an increase in anxiety, and this one confused me because caffeine usually stimulates anxiety, so I assumed when I cut caffeine out, my anxiety would decrease, but it was actually quite the opposite. I felt more stressed throughout the day, and I also became irritable to the point where I felt like punching my friends in the face. I'm kidding. Now, all of these symptoms that I just mentioned peaked during the first 5 days, and they sort of tapered off going into day 10. Alright, so the second set of 10 days was actually quite interesting because this is where I started seeing both pros and cons to quitting caffeine. Now, starting with the cons, my workouts were still terrible. I tried eating a little bit more before workouts, doing extra dynamic warm-up, and even splashing my face with water, and I just didn't seem to be able to perform at the level I was performing at with caffeine. Now, I do understand that there is a mental component to this, and I tried my best to go into the gym with a positive attitude and try and be excited as possible, but I just wasn't doing that great. And another con during these next 10 days was still my lack of productivity and focus. I definitely was not getting as much done without the coffee. The amount of homework and studying I'd get done dropped significantly, causing me to stay at the library for longer periods of time. I also feel like I developed like migraine mild ADHD because my attention span during class was as bad as Dory's. Okay, now enough about all these negatives. Let's talk about some positives. So for starters, I did start to save money. I always knew I spent a lot of money on coffee, but quitting coffee really opened my eyes. I mean, I'd get Dunkin' or Starbucks at least 4 to 6 times a week, and if I spent $5 on a coffee, that's anywhere from $20 to $30 every single week spent on coffee, which can easily add to about $100 every single month. So financially, as a broke college student, this was extremely beneficial for me. The other thing that I started to notice was that I was actually falling asleep a little bit easier. This one actually surprised me because in a lot of other YouTube videos that I watched, many people said that they had a harder time going to bed without having a coffee throughout their day. But for me, once it hit around that 10 p.m. mark, I immediately started to get drowsy. Usually, I do go to bed around 11 to 11:30, and I usually play Xbox starting from 10 p.m. for about an hour and a half. But during this time period, I didn't even touch my Xbox because I could barely hang past 10 p.m. So falling asleep was definitely something that I found to be easier without caffeine. Also, my overall anxieties did go down, so I wasn't as jittery or irritable as the first 10 days. So no thoughts of punching my friends. Again, that was a joke. Don't cancel me, please. Now, days 21 through 30, not much changed. I still didn't have the best workouts. My overall productivity was still a net negative compared to my caffeine consumption days, and my attention span was still lacking. Now, during this time period, my grades didn't fall. I still did do everything it took to maintain my grades, but it definitely required a lot more time. For example, my physics lab report would usually take me a solid 3 hours in one sitting, but the past few weeks, they have taken me up to almost 5 or even 6 hours because I struggled with basic cognition and I kept getting distracted with my phone. So the negatives pretty much stayed consistent, but the positives also stayed consistent. I continued to save money and I continued to fall asleep a little bit easier. But here's the weird part. I would get 8 hours of sleep, which is way more than usual for me, but I still felt more fatigued and less productive throughout the day. So what now? So with 30 days of no caffeine and seeing both the pros and cons of eliminating caffeine from my life, am I done with caffeine? Absolutely and utterly not. After meeting with my cardiologist, my palpitations stopped once I cut out caffeine, and the moment she gave me the go to start drinking a cup a day, with food this time, I immediately hopped back on it. And no exaggeration, guys, my life improved significantly. My gym sessions were back to great progress. I was absolutely killing every single workout, recovered a lot quicker, regained a sharp attention span, and my overall productivity was just incredible. Now, yes, I have resorted to sleeping an hour later, around 11 or 11:30 p.m., and I am spending that extra $5 a day, but honestly, after doing a cost-benefit analysis, I truly think the benefit outweighs the cost. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not encouraging anybody to quit caffeine or start caffeine. I'm no doctor or expert. I'm simply just sharing with you guys my experiences on this coffee hiatus. And like I said, I just do not see the true overall benefit of quitting caffeine. Now, of course, everybody is different, and everything can be abused, but if there's anything that this experiment taught me is that in moderation, caffeine can absolutely be a miracle drug. So I'm gonna continue to keep drinking coffee because I just get so much more done throughout the day with that caffeine in me. Anyways, guys, enjoy your cup of coffee in moderation or don't. Up to you. But for the time being, I'm gonna be sipping. Thanks for watching and cheers.